Yeah, but you set such a horrible precedence, you know, my God. It's like, oh yeah, just sue them, they'll pay. Thanks, John.
Oh, okay, so that's so right, well, you just may not be doing it. Yeah, that's true. I'm glad somebody's.
Close enough. Okay, this is the time set for Road and Bridge Superintendent Paul Alt weekly report. Also Paul Alt evaluation and salary discussion is gonna happen today. Paul, quickly, do you have any report that you wanna let us know about?
Just sanding the ice and working on equipment due to, we're gonna have a bunch of snow right now, so we're just mechanicking, putting the wings on the old blade and that kind of stuff.
I got, pass on to your guys, I got a couple thank yous from Rockwood when they got up there. So I guess it was really slick that you guys took a lot of sand. How much did you take out?
He dumped 4 loads.
Okay. So we're moving on to Supervisor Alt's evaluations. They're right here, they're completed. Can't talk about them much, but I can tell you that he successfully completed his probation. So we have to set a base salary for the county road supervisor, and that's where we're having this discussion. We have some data we'll pass out to folks that they can look at. You have that, Mike?
Yep.
Why don't we just pass it out so people can kind of look at it. The way we're gonna do this is the commission's going to make a motion, or not. We're gonna discuss it, and then we're going to, before there's a vote, we'll open it up for public comment on the motion. If there's other comments, we have set aside public comments on matters, any matters that within our jurisdiction at 2:45, and we'll be back here to listen to your comments at that time. So Commissioner Bonnie is unable to attend. It's a health issue, he couldn't avoid it, but he's not here. And we didn't know that until this morning. So with that, Commissioner Adam. If you want, it's up to you.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion. I've had quite a few comments. This ain't part of my motion. I'm just saying that after last Tuesday till this Tuesday, I've had lots and lots of comments, and the motion I'd like to make is to table it until next month, so we have more time to go over the comments and stuff, because I got stuff this morning that I just got and I haven't really looked at. And plus, we'll have a new commissioner sworn in the 28th, so I was hoping that we could, well, my motion is to be, that it be made so the first part would be January, sorry. I'd like to have a little more time. I think that it's not really giving fair time to all the people either, so it'd be January, like the 15th, that'd give us quite a bit of time, and there's still, and that's kind of my motion.
So do you intend to allow the folks that came up to make comments today
Yes.
for the record? Okay.
Yes, I think, yeah, they need to, and then there's other people that were just finding out, and they wanted to have more time so they could look into it more, and then show up, and then plus our new commissioner will be sworn in. Otherwise, we don't have nobody here representing that upper end on this, so that's my motion.
Okay. I'm gonna second the motion. Comment on the motion. My first comment is that I think that's fair. I think that's a good motion, Scott, because I think it's important to include the new commissioner, start out with his first major decision in this, but We're 10 days away from him being sworn in. Commissioner Bonney did participate in it. He was able to put together a performance evaluation. So,
I got, like I said, this morning I had 4 people comment on stuff, and 2 of them I haven't even got to look it over yet. I don't think it'd be fair to them that I didn't look at it.
So Commissioner-elect Hinkle, you understand that these comments, we'll have on the record for you, but you understand that you'll take those into consideration and they'll actually be back on the agenda for a decision, okay? And you'll be voting live then, okay? All right.
I think that's fair to all the people.
So, is there any other comments from the commission?
No, I'll wait till I hear something, and I got maybe the 3 people asked me to bring up some stuff, to let these people talk first,
Okay.
because we haven't got so much time.
So what we're doing here, I'm gonna let the public comment at this point. I hope that you focus on what the agenda item is. And once again, the agenda item is Superintendent Alt's salary and evaluation coming off of probation. When we hired him, we told him he would start at a probationary salary. He's been on that salary for a little longer than he should have been actually, before we got this scheduled. He has good evaluations, very good evaluations. He has accomplished a lot in the last year. He started out in a flood and has worked his way through. He did come from a private world to his first governmental job, and he had a lot to learn, but I think he's done a good job of doing that. The other thing I think is important is that I got a hold of the local government center at MSU, talked to Sam Gianfrancisco, who is retired county road supervisor, and that explains the handouts you have. And what Sam tried to do, and I did call and talk to every one of these people myself, but what Sam tried to do is to get similar counties and comparison on the road supervisors. Basically what you'll notice is there's two ways of doing business. One is a 24/7 road supervisor, like Paul is, that runs the crews, takes care of all the responsibilities of road and bridge. Some counties have a road supervisor and a bridge supervisor that are separate, but some counties have 3 supervisors that we call them foremen. So there's 3 or 4 counties on your list there that each district for each county commissioner has their own road foreman. And so they make about, say, 50,000 and change, you'll see on your note there. But if you add that up, it's 150,000 to do what Commissioner or Supervisor Alt does. So those are the 3 kind of ways to look at things, and if you have other questions, we'll do that. So I'm going to open it up to public comment. I want you to come up to the podium so that Mike can hear you and everybody else can. We'll turn it a little bit. Hey, Paul, you want to grab that and just turn it a little bit so they can see, hear. I want everybody to be able to hear. Yeah.
Just turn it sideways.
Sideways a little bit.
State your name.
Yep. Please state your name, and Mike will try to do the best he can to capture what you say, because we are going to make the decision at a later date. Appreciate you all coming. Merry Christmas. Who wants to start? So open for public comment, Gail.
I actually wrote mine down because I knew it was a short one. You've already answered one of the questions,
Okay.
but I'll hand this to you, so, because I'd like it obviously in a minute. So a couple of these questions you're gonna try to say, no, that doesn't have anything to do with it, but I truly believe it does. So my first one question would be, what is a road and bridge / solid waste supervisor's qualification for changing the position to, say, a superintendent, or whatever title you deem that to be.
You're gonna give us that?
I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Another one is what specific counties, you gave me a copy of that already. What is the road and bridge / solid waste supervisor's job description? And these two are because the road supervisor has a lease agreement with Bob Weaver, so he gets money on top of that. Whose insurance is listed for coverage with your contract with Bob Weaver, and why isn't there a written copy of a contract with Bob Weaver? Those would be my questions.
So, Gail, we're gonna pass around the job description, if you can share it with everybody.
Sure.
There you go.
Is it all right to make a copy?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We'll get you as many copies as you want. That was something I was meaning to do, I'm sorry.
Sorry, my name's Gail Leeper. I did
Yep.
state that.
Thanks, Gail. Further comments?
Susie Browning for the record. I thank you for this handout. Lots of questions on here that you need to find out about. I look at these counties and it does not show what the value of the mill is in those counties in comparison to ours. It also doesn't show how many road employees that person is supervising. It also doesn't show how many miles of road are being maintained, how much equipment they have. I think you need to take that into comparison. Granite County's mill, I know, is less than far many of these counties.
Sure, we just took a snapshot.
I know, but did you even think about that?
Yeah.
So you should have those answers.
Easy
The other
enough to
thing,
do.
the other thing is, you just stated that he had met his 6-month probationary period, which is long past. And in your minutes at that time, you offered him the job at an annual salary of $55,291.20 to include the standard 6-month probationary period and pending a successful background check. So I don't see in there where after he completes the 6-month probationary period that he is supposed to get an increase in salary. That was done on May 30th. On July 5th, that's when you added the solid waste position, and you once again gave him an increase there for a total annual salary of $70,000 effective July 1st, 2017. Now, I'm not sure, Paul was given his budget for the road department and solid waste, and he handed it in. At that time, when you're doing budgets, why didn't it dawn on you that, oh, he's been with us for over a year, perhaps we should be looking at an evaluation? And it just seems strange. You're trying to, why are you taking this back to, are you taking it back retro?
No,
No.
No, you're going forward for,
Yeah.
yes,
for the new in July,
yep.
okay? Have you looked
You're
in?
talking about it from July 1, 2019? Is that your question?
I'm- for
July
this-
1, 2019?
I'm talking about this, the budget
Oh,
this
okay,
year.
all
You're
right.
not going to
All
make
right.
it retro,
No,
like you,
But-
okay.
we're in the middle of
Yeah,
a
I
budget,
realize
so that'll be part of the motion, or could be part of the motion. Do we do it in this budget year, or do we do part of it in this budget year and part of the next budget year? There's lots of
Have you
options.
looked at your budget to
Yes, we
see if
have.
you can afford that?
Yep, we have.
Yes, and you can.
Well,
Have you looked at it in comparison to what others are making in the county? Your elected officials, your sheriff. I mean, I think this is getting a little out of hand. I mean, you're spending like there's no tomorrow, and pretty soon there isn't gonna be a
so
tomorrow.
do you want me to answer that question, or do you want to just
Sure,
go on? Okay.
answer it.
So the comparison between elected officials is not fair and impossible to make is we don't set their salaries, they're set by statute. So, does the sheriff make enough money? Nope. I know, I did it for 30 years, so, but that's set by the legislature. What we have to find, and I think this is why I want to answer this question, what we have to find is what's the market for county road supervisors, which we do have the responsibility to set. And how do you find that? Well, if a county road supervisor is gonna leave us, he's either gonna go to another county or the state of Montana, or like our previous one did, one is back to private business. So what's the market for what county road supervisors do? And that's why I got a hold of the local government center, and that's just a snapshot, but it's how we're making the comparison. The other question you asked was about the budget. So, the budget for the county road department, we would have to make a line item transfer, which is something that you take the money from other parts of the budget and put it into salaries to make sure that it has enough money to cover all the salaries. You can do that at the end of the year, that's where I like to do it. Let it run negative maybe for a few months, and at the end of the year, you go through and see what you have left, and you make a line item transfer. And we'd have to do that if in fact the motion is to pay him in this budget year, as you know. The next budget year, we would craft the budget so it included the raise. Now, the county road budget right now today has $605,250.03 in cash for the road, and $31,854 in cash, and 28 cents for the bridge. Paul is the road and bridge superintendent, runs both those departments. So there's plenty of cash, just cash. We wouldn't have to take it out of any other line item. So there's lots of room here to do that. That's not really the point, but there is money to answer your question. So what was another question?
So if you set precedents here, so the next year, are you going to keep increasing the salary, or are you gonna go with the usual, like the employees get with COLA?
Okay, so you can't compare Paul to the other employees for another reason.
Okay.
He's a salaried employee. He works 24/7 on call. He does not get vacation, sick leave, or he gets sick leave. He doesn't get overtime. He doesn't get comp time or anything like that. So he's not compared. Basically, his benefit package is health insurance, the federal taxes, and retirement. And so he's an exempt employee and a salaried employee. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay.
So you get vacation and
He
sick.
gets
He gets vacation and sick.
I'm sorry, he gets
Yes.
vacation and sick.
Yes.
He doesn't get comp time, that's what I was
Yeah.
looking for.
So right now, what he's currently making, total, it costs the county approximately $82,000. And that's in the road department, because that includes insurance, PERS, etc. It does. I mean, I can put it down, but
Well,
it's
it's
costing the county
It's
$82,000.
$80,579.52. So that's salary plus benefits.
Well, I'm looking from the road budget, I am,
Okay, well,
taking
I
that
just got
amount,
this
and
read
it
up.
says, this is just on the road, this isn't for solid waste.
I'm not counting solid waste either. $80,579.56. And what that is his benefits. Grant County contributes $1,081 towards health insurance, and of course, we pay a percentage of the retirement, we pay a percentage of the, and his insurance and stuff.
The solid waste, the supervisor, the total that's costing the county is $20,500.
I have
It is, so we've got a
$20,145.
$100,000 person, that's what it's costing the county, and what type of a raise are you looking at?
Okay, we're looking at the county road department. We're not considering a raise for solid waste at all. He's agreed to continue with solid waste and do that job.
So how much of an increase are you looking at? If you should give him a raise?
About 14,000.
14,000 a year. And
No, let's see, depending on how the motion is, we haven't made that motion.
okay, and so do you know what that would add to the added PERS and the Social Security? The extra, it will also cost the county? Because we're at 100,000 now, you give him another 14,000. You know, you have to pay PERS on that, you have to
Yeah.
pay Social Security.
But we're talking, I mean, you can look at it both ways, but you're talking total amount plus benefits, right?
I'm talking the total amount with the benefits.
Right.
I'm taking the total amounts, what it's costing the county
Okay.
and work
Depends
comp,
Depends on how the
whatever.
motion's made, so, yeah.
And you
Remember,
think that-
we didn't make the motion, but yeah, depends on how the motion's made.
Okay,
So let me give you a little example. You brought up solid waste. We had a solid waste supervisor who was making $30,652.33. When we were looking for that person for months and months and months, we had no applicants. Did we ever have an applicant, Mike? I don't think we ever had one. We advertised it, and when Paul came in, one of the things that he noticed right away when he surveyed his potential job is that how much overlap there was between solid waste and the road supervisor. That he's by there, same people, all the maintenance of the sites are done by the road department, and how much better it could be run if it was combined. So at 15,000, okay, we saved a considerable amount of money by just combining it. That's why we did what we
You
did.
still didn't because you're paying it to someone over here.
You're waiting your turn.
Okay.
that way.
the other thing is, Gail brought up about Weaver Construction, no contract on file, no certificate of insurance. Paul leases his truck to Weaver Construction. He gets some money
Okay, you're
in that
out of line.
regards.
We're
Well,
talk-
I'm just
He doesn't
saying,
get the money from the public, and that's, if he wants to run a private business, he can do that. Anybody in this room, many of our employees have private businesses. So, you're out of line there. We can have a discussion about that, but what we're talking about today is what's on the agenda,
okay.
okay?
Okay, I'm fine with that. I think with what he currently makes, and because he does lease a truck to Weaver Construction, I think that he could pay his personal property taxes that are delinquent for the amount of $11,007.10. And it's for the record, thank
No,
you.
it's not, that will not be the record.
That's not gonna be,
No,
Here it is.
that can't be brought up here.
you're out of line. Okay, who's
So are
next?
you.
Who's next?
Well, I have something, and I got a question about this, and it concerns
Say-
basically,
please,
my name's
please.
Danville for the
Thanks,
record,
Dan.
and it's nothing, it's about the job. That's
Okay,
it.
please.
So, we can't get our roads plowed, this is all gonna pertain to money. So, this all goes back to this. So we can't get our roads plowed on the weekends when it snows and everything, because you said we don't have the money.
I didn't say that. In fact,
I'll get the
plow
text
on-
message too that you sent my wife.
We plow. I didn't
No,
see
you
wanted
said
text
we
me.
couldn't plant because you can only put so much money. So anyway,
Yeah,
basically,
I'm gonna correct you on that. We
Okay.
do call people out on the weekends.
so why aren't?
We don't have the whole crew out, no. They're not scheduled that way. We do plow the road on the weekends. What Paul does is he has to call, it's a union contract issue. He has to give everybody an opportunity on his crew to get overtime. And he tries to rotate that so during the winter they all get a little overtime. But they can also say no. The last snow deal we had 3 trucks out, right? Because those were the 3 people that said, yep, I'll go plow snow on Sunday, I think, or Saturday maybe. But anyway, that's not correct. We do put people out on
So you
major
have all the
snowstorms.
money you need to get people out if they will take the calls.
Depending on the road supervisor, he has to manage that, yeah. There was a major storm, he'd have
No,
everybody
he
get
did,
that,
but
and
the
he has the
county-
money to do that, yes.
Okay, so he has all the
But-
money, so people
But at the end of
volunteer.
the year, he starts watching his budget, and, yeah.
So if he has to worry so much about that budget, where is all this other extra money coming for that job title?
Are you talking about where's the cash coming from?
Yeah.
Okay, let me answer that. Most of this cash was brought in by, this year, Supervisor Alt. We took our recap Forest Service road project, and the total agreement was $272,000. The county brought in $53,622.57 because he supervised the job, and we hired local vendors, you know, Steel, et cetera, Patriot, McDonald, FNR, Granite County. We $35,000 of our guys doing work. Mark Kelp, L&L Trucking.
Okay, but you're
Those
missing what I'm
kinds of
saying.
things. Well,
That's
what I'm
great.
saying,
glad
that's where the
Paul's
money
doing this.
came from.
So you have money, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And the reason the roads don't get plowed at the lake ever on weekends is because he can't get a guy.
But that's not true. They do get plowed on the weekend.
I live there, I see it every weekend. I
You
don't,
get it.
we had 12 to 15 inches of snow here a couple of weeks ago. It got
If you-
4 days later, because,
If people call in on a weekend, we get them out there to take care of.
okay, I live there, we keep track of when you guys plow, trust me.
Okay.
A lot of people do. So my only thing is, that money, and good for Paul, he got the job, he was offered it, good. But I just wanna know why some other stuff can't be paid for when money for a certain position can be.
Okay. Well, we can have that
So-
discussion about our road schedule and how things get plowed.
Alright.
It changes all the time.
So with this amount of money,
population, so we can do
okay,
that.
that's
And
great,
we
you
should.
answered my question, go
Hey,
ahead.
Dan, and I brought up in negotiations about having people on call, and they voted it down.
They did, well, let's see that, you're answering my question,
They did, in negotiations,
that's
I
fine.
tried to get it so they'd have to be, and come off of the 4 days and stay 5 days, and they voted me down.
And you all,
Not
okay,
these guys, but the union. They-
thank you, because you answered my question, I appreciate that. So, the next thing is, the amount of money that you're gonna give them, whatever it may be. You said this was a union job, Paul was a non-working supervisor, right?
Not, he's
No,
not
he's
union.
He's not.
He's non-union?
He's not
Yeah,
union.
he's not union.
You answered my question there too, because I was
He
gonna
can
say,
only work so many hours.
that's fine with me then, you answered my question there.
He's a salaried employee.
Yeah, he's not.
Okay, well, I thought they said. it was
No,
union, so
he's not union.
That's good,
Okay.
okay. You guys answered my questions and that's all I needed to know.
Thanks,
Because
Dan.
I wanted to know where that money,
Yep.
if he's union, how he could even do it,
Yeah.
so. Thank you.
Good question. Does anybody else have questions or comments?
I got
Sue?
So on the,
Sue,
Paul's.
state your name for everybody, please.
Peterson for the record.
Thanks.
So on Paul's hours, how many hours a week does he work? Or I thought he was on call 24/7.
He is.
Okay,
He's a salaried employee, which means he doesn't have so
A
many
set
hours a
time.
week or set time. Yes.
okay, so how many hours a week does he work?
What do you normally work, Paul?
Just varies what's going on, you know.
So it's well above a 40-hour week
Oh,
is the
yeah.
question. So when do you spend most of your time that are off of the 40 hours? In mornings or in the evenings or night?
Both.
Well, that's tough to tell.
You just don't know, I mean,
You don't know when you're gonna
depends on the calls and what's going on.
And how many hours a week are spent doing solid waste duties?
Again, that varies with what we're doing, or like,
Last week, like last week, we redid the whole animal pit, the dead animal pit.
Okay, and you worked on that also?
yeah,
We did
And
a
the-
DEQ.
yeah.
What's that?
DEQ made us do it.
Well, yeah, they probably had a reason for it. And so what else do you do with the solid waste? Do you do any clerical work or anything like that?
Clerk work, no,
Okay,
no, the maintenance, everything to do with maintenance.
okay. And then with the road supervisor sheet that you gave us, I think it's kind of deceptive because some of these supervisors probably have engineering capabilities. You know that.
There are some that do, Sue. It was Valley County's the only one I found.
Okay,
and the rest of them do not.
okay. Well, I thank you for your time. To me, as a taxpayer and as a former school teacher, and you know what we make, it just seems like an enormous amount of money for a Granite County employee to receive, and at the very least, I don't think you should discuss it until the 2019, well, the next budget will be for fiscal 2021. I mean, I don't think it even should be discussed for like 4 or 5, 6 months down the road. Because people are very concerned about this, they're not very happy about it, so. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Nice to see you there, Chuck.
So further comments or questions?
I'm John Spade. I got a little donut.
What's that?
A donut.
Yeah, you have one.
Bill, I have a question. You brought up that the last road,
Can you speak up just a little bit, please?
the last road supervisor, or solid waste was 30,000 a year. Was that Cindy?
Yes.
Well, I talked to her this morning and she told me she made $15 an hour and worked about 20 to 22 hours a week.
Well, but she got full benefits too, see? And that's why the numbers, and it's fair to talk about these numbers, I think everybody needs to understand that, because that's actually what the county has to pay. In other words, somebody says I make 50,000 a year, yeah, but you have their benefits and it's quite a bit more.
Was that 15,000 a year, the benefits? I don't have the paper in front of me. I just talked to
What I
her.
got is Cindy worked from 2016, 11 months, 2017, and her annual salary was $30,652.33 with benefits.
With benefits.
With total, she got a total benefits, John.
Okay.
So,
Because when I talked to her this morning, she said, and she did all the clerical, and she met with the DEQ, and she even took minutes for this planning board.
and I don't know if that's, Mike, would that be, that planning board minute thing would be in there?
I don't.
Okay, so I don't know if that's included.
So, and then what I looked at is, so that she took, this is just what she told me. She said she made 15 a year, and then from what I understand, the clerical department in the other room is making about 12,000 a year, not including benefits. So,
Well, it's actually more than that, it's $27,912, but that's not all her job. She works for the county treasurer, and just a little portion of her job is, when folks come up here, they usually come here if they have issues with solid waste, okay? Like, they thought they got overcharged with their waste or whatever, so we have a place for them to come here, because Paul's out in the field.
right.
Okay, and, but that includes the salary, the total salary, what she does for the treasurer, what little she does for solid waste and benefits, okay?
Thank you, sir.
You bet, thanks for your comments, Joe. Anybody else? Comments?
I was just wanted to ask a clarification for Paul. Paul, do you do the budget for solid waste and the road bridge? You fill out the budget?
With the help of the land helps and.
Thank you, sorry about that.
Go ahead, Dick.
Hi, I'm Dick Mata. You apparently must have some kind of a projection for what this salary increase is gonna cost. Is it possible for the public to get a copy of that? You aren't speaking very loudly, and I'm sure it's very hard for the people at the end, and when you're talking about figures, it's hard to just sit there and listen to what you're saying and put it into any kind of context. So could we have possibly have a copy of that projection?
Sure. Dick, it depends on how the motion is made and how we actually come about compensating the road supervisor. That motion hasn't been made yet, but yes, we can give you, if it's made, when it's made, if there's a motion, we can project exactly what that's gonna be, so we'll get it to you.
Well, we're here to try and evaluate what the amount of the increase is that Mr. Alt is requesting. So I think that you should have, you have that thing, and so that should be the motion. If you are gonna change that when you vote on it, it should be revised at that particular point in time. At this particular point in time, we're just guessing about what you're talking about. So I think the people in this room are entitled to your projection. We're discussing what Mr. Alt wants.
Exactly. Is it okay to talk about?
So it'd be the request was 14,000 additional?
Right, yes.
And then there'd be the additional PERS on top of it. The
Everything.
health insurance would be the
Same.
same.
Yep.
Other benefits, potentially close to the same, so PRS would be the, you could put that on the county's website once that's
Yeah,
figured.
we'll get it for you. But for purposes of everybody here, it's a $14,000 raise for off of probation to his base salary.
Well, it totally understates the total amount of the cost to the county. And, you didn't budget for this at any particular time during the last budget process,
No.
July to
You're
August.
right, we did
So this would be an increase in the appropriation, and if you're going to increase the appropriation, you're required to take that increase from some other fund. And you haven't stated at this
No.
particular point in time
I told you
what
right
fund
where-
you're taking it from.
I'll tell you, no, I told you right where we're coming, you may not have heard it. It'll come from the road budget. There's enough cash in the road budget to more than pay for the total 14,000 or part, and then in July, we would craft a new road budget where it would be crafted right into the salaries.
Well, what is the $660,000 in cash that you were talking about earlier? What is that for? Why do you have that much of
It's
a
not
carryover?
it's not allocated, well, two reasons. One, it's not allocated for anything in the road budget right now, okay? It's, the other line items are full, and he's only spending out of those. It's just extra cash. And how it got there was because Paul Alt, in the last year and so many months, did a couple jobs for the Forest Service, and we were able to accumulate some more money when we got paid, okay? Does that make sense? So that's what cash is. It's just unanticipated revenues, but it all came from the road department, so it all stayed there.
You don't want it in there, or you think we're holding too much in there, or what are you trying to say?
Well, if you're gonna have a budget, it would seem to me that you're gonna allocate where that money's gonna be spent. It's not gonna just sit there like the PILT money does, so whenever you run out of it. It just seemed like you take the money from the PILT fund and put it wherever you're short. What I'm trying to say is that by doing that, you're probably overtaxing the people. I've already presented to you things on the PILT fund where I think you're not including that in the cash balances that you have on hand so that you can calculate what the taxes are gonna be. So in my mind, when you're looking at the PILT fund, you're already overtaxing the people by $1,700,000. If you've got $600,000 in the transportation budget, that should be somewhat allocated. You're supposed to put all of your capital projects on the budget. To my knowledge, there weren't any of those capital budgets on the abroad, so it just sits in the cash rather than being allocated to one of those projects.
Fair enough, but it came within this budget year, and it will sit there until July where it's reallocated. And by the way, the state knows every dime we have in PILT because it comes through them to the federal government, through them to us. So they know exactly how much we have in PILT, so that's another conversation. Let's just stay on this one, okay? There's cash enough in the road supervisor budget to more than meet a salary increase. And that could be corrected in July though, because we'll get another shot at a budget in July, and we'll look at those cash, and is there another more appropriate place to put all of it or some of it? Now, I guarantee for me, I wanna keep some cash in every budget if I can, especially if it was accumulated there. And, you know, I don't wanna rob Peter to pay Paul here, but it's all, the revenue department knows every dime of this. Okay, we're not
What
hiding.
difference does that make? The
Well, but you were just-
taxpayers are being taxed for
They're-
it. We're entitled to know
But that's what you
where you're
said, they
gonna
don't
spend the
know,
money.
they do know.
Huh?
They do know, so give me some more comments if you have them on the county road supervisor's, budget and, or his request for a raise, or to come off probation. Do you have any other comments about that?
Well, you still haven't, you're gonna wait till another time. You've got people here that came specifically to hear what the wage increase is gonna be. It seems to me that you have an obligation to provide what you feel is gonna be the annual cost, so that we can discuss it intelligently.
So Commissioner Adler made a motion, I seconded it for the purposes to have this conversation, and what you're saying is that we should vote no on the motion.
I think he's wanting the information
We should know what the
provided.
motion is. We don't even know what the motion is.
Yeah, we did, he just made it right in front of you. His motion.
What is the motion?
Okay, so the motion, you wanna read the motion, Mike?
You're asking what the total proposed increase will be, including benefits? Is that what you're wanting to know?
Well, that's what I wanna know,
Yeah.
and I think that if you've got it on paper, it should be dispersed to all of the
And-
people that are here.
Yeah, and he said we'd get it posted on the website, right? Does that work?
It depends on what the motion is,
Yeah.
Counselor. If the motion is to pay part of it under this budget and the other half under the other, or if it's to pay all of it under this budget. See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I was just saying
it would
on for
vary.
14,000, showing them what the total
Yeah, and we can
benefits are.
certainly do that, we
Yeah,
can do
okay.
that, absolutely. So,
Well,
so you wanna read the motion?
it's time to get down to some specifics. Maybe you understand that because you've been involved with it, but the people here don't really understand what you're doing. And so I
I
think you have an
understand.
obligation to present that to them.
I think they can speak for
Yeah,
themselves.
I think they understand, but I'll be happy to read the motion to you.
Would anybody here like to have a copy of what the proposal is gonna cost?
We haven't made it.
We haven't made the
Yes.
proposal yet. And yes, we will
Total
provide.
cost, yes.
Sure.
Yeah,
Why isn't it provided at this
Because we
meeting?
haven't made
it should have
yet.
been.
He made the proposal to you, you had to avail it. You've been reading for some figures down there. Let us have a copy of your figures.
You can have a copy of the figures, we'll get that to you. I'll get it to you for
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Thank you.
Okay, so let's.
So you're not gonna give us a copy of the
Yes.
He said before you leave today, he'll give it to you.
I think it's been past,
Yeah, go ahead.
you took up more.
Well, why shouldn't we have it at the beginning of the meeting so that we can determine what you're talking about?
Okay, Dick.
We can evaluate what you're talking about.
Okay. So speak to the motion or sit down. Anything else? And I'll get you what you asked for.
Okay.
The other thing is, if you're gonna put it into this year's budget, you're supposed to make a motion to determine which budget that comes out of.
And we will.
You're saying that it's coming out of the cash from the transportation department, but,
No, I didn't say that at all. What I said was, after asked, is there enough money in there to do that? And we said, yes, there is. That's how we answered that.
If
We
they-
didn't say that word.
If they decide to do it, it would be in a formal written
Right.
resolution.
Have to do a resolution to make a line item
And-
transfer.
Okay.
and that's because you didn't allocate that $668,000 to various other projects. So are you gonna be
Because it just came in,
decreasing
Dick.
those other projects, or are you just gonna be decreasing the cash?
We're gonna leave the cash in there until probably the next fiscal, and then we'll decide what to do. But it just came in during this year, so.
Well,
that's why
again,
it's-
I say that
Okay,
you're
Dick, you're about done,
overtaxing
so.
the people.
All right, thank you. Who's next?
Can we have the reading of the motion?
Yo, I'm sorry, I promised to read the motion.
Susie Brown once
Hang on a
again, for
second.
the record.
Do you want to, hang on,
Bill-
Susie, Susie,
Oh.
we're gonna read the motion.
Elena wants a motion.
Oh, so does Dick, he asked for it.
Oh, yeah.
Commissioner Adler moved to table the matter until the first part of January to give people in the board time to review material, and then the new commissioner, Commissioner-elect Chuck Hinkle, will be seated. He would like to set it for January 15th, 2019. Commissioner Slaughter seconded the motion.
Okay?
Can you print that out on the computer out there, or on the printer out there?
Not from here, no.
Bill,
Susan.
you
have it
had
on
stated the
record.
cash available in the road department. Could you repeat that for me, please?
Sure. In the road, 605, 250.03 cents.
200.
In the bridge, $31,854.28.
Okay, I was just looking at the budget that you're going off of now, and cash was $870,000. In anticipated, would hope that you would take into consideration the SRS money. You know, it does get reauthorized. It's usually budgeted at about $350,000, but there is always that chance that not getting it. And so, you know, our levy is, the levied amount to the taxpayers is around $380,000. So keep this in mind when you're considering giving increases in anything.
Absolutely.
Because,
We
and in purchasing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
We
down.
went back, Susie, on, there's some other counties went back because they shorted us, and we will be getting that money too.
Yeah, it's quite.
Yes, I
Well, the
had read that,
class
but I
action lawsuit on
it just
Bill.
got reauthorized, and, you know, and I think it was only for 2 years again. It's always, are we gonna get it or not
I
gonna
know,
get
it's a
it?
big deal.
It
It runs
is,
the
and
county.
so,
We're aware of that, it's not for sure money.
yes, so I would like for you to take that into consideration.
Absolutely.
I will apologize for my other remark, it wasn't the time or the place. So, anyway,
Thank you for
thank
that.
you.
Apology accepted.
Okay, so other comments, and please, we're staying on the motion, please?
I just have one,
We're gonna take it off.
you want to go for the record?
What's that?
No.
That was from Gail.
I took
just have-
copies.
Oh, that was it.
Did anybody want to see the job description? You're more than welcome. Yeah, anybody else?
I just have one other comment, it's not much. But if you're gonna give a certain position a 20% raise, how is that gonna affect the rest of your employees in the county to come up?
Okay, so I think that's a good comment, and this is why it's a good comment. Let me just talk about the history, okay? When I came here, there was no county board supervisors. The county commissioners did it. They had a plan and talked about it for a long time to just finally get a professional to run the road department, okay? So that's what we did. All those had, I mean, we don't have a long history because we had one other road supervisor, okay? And he was on probation, and then he came off probation, and he was making $72,203, that's plus his benefits, when he came off of probation, all right? So, he quit and went back to private practice, okay, so we started over again, right? We went through the hiring process, and we have a road supervisor getting probationary pay. So once again, we're trying to establish, all right, what's a fair compensation for his base? So, good question.
Okay, but that wasn't really what I was.
I know, but I wanted people to
I
know
was
where
just
you were
getting
going.
at,
No,
You
in
want
the
to let
future,
the-
you will probably have
People.
more employees coming in at our salary saying that this particular job can get this much money, why can't this
Absolutely.
particular?
And we'll
So
have
that's
to deal
something
with
you guys are gonna be.
That's
Oh,
what,
yeah.
but that's
It's
what we have to
already
deal with
had
anyway.
two calls down.
But that
Thanks.
job description we're passing
I did.
around, that's what we'll compare it to. So-
That was some of them calls this morning, Dan, that I had.
Sir, come on up. State your name.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Tim Ravendahl. I didn't really plan on coming and speaking on any of your matters today, but I'm working with Redoubt News, and I'm going around the state of Montana, and I'm looking at a lot of the things that are going on in local government, and here's one of the topics that's really pretty much prevalent in most of the counties that I've been visiting across Montana. And one of the things that I continue hearing, and this is for your consideration as you move forward into January to make decisions, The handout that was passed out here on wage market analysis, that's been in a lot of dispute with a lot of counties, because comparing, for example, what's going on in Madison County with their economic base and what's going on in Granite County is like, many times it's said, apples and oranges. So what we find is we go, how in the heck can we do that? It'd be, you know, it's just, there's really not that comparison that you can base your economic based on where you can go with that. So it's something to keep in consideration as you move forward, and that's resulted in several disputes across the state, which we don't like to hear. The other thing, you know, they're talking about your amount of money in your road department budget, and there's also been another situation across the state in many different counties where the cash reserve requirement by statute in your different departments in your budget under the Montana Budget Act. What happens is sometimes the unforeseeables tap into that, because of course the reserve is for carryover from the end of June on into the next fiscal year budget process, which a lot of times, because of things like what we have being discussed today, don't come to fruition until maybe August, maybe sometimes even September. So the budget, trying to be set for the fiscal year, has to be, public safety is a good one. They use a lot of that budget reserve in order to just stay on the job until the new budget is set. So it's something to keep in mind, that, you know, the budget reserve is really essential to make sure that let know people what that is and maintain that. The last thing that I think has kind of been touched on, and that is many of the counties are using union representation in many of the different departments. And I talked to the sheriff earlier this morning. The public safety department is not under a union process anymore. They had been, but the road department is. Now, I understand that Mr. Alt is not under that as a supervisory position, which gives him a lot of leeway. But the bargaining agreements that come down on local government to make sure that those union members are getting that, coming back to wage analysis and market analysis, it becomes problematic for the county commissioners to make those decisions based on that input, because you know, it's your final decision on making those bargaining agreements. So it's really essential to make sure that everything's on the front page and the public has the front seat to be able to know what's going on instead of coming in after the decisions are made. And with that, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, thank you for your time. Again, I'm not a resident of Granite County, so I want to make sure that you know I'm just trying to help to make sure that the spotlight stays where it's at, and that's on transparency and public awareness. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments on the, yeah, come on up. On the agenda, please.
Name is Sandra Lee, the last name is Barbara, and I kind of go, he answered a lot of the questions that I did have, which is in regard to the budgets. I ran 3 different businesses, had budgets, tried to stay as close to those budgets, always had a little bit of a, I don't want to say, a little overage just in case. But as far as the budget for this, does that budget that you're taking away from include the highway maintenance for during winter period? I mean, we have no idea what the winter's going to be like. We have no idea what kind of road maintenance is going to be required. So is that budget for road maintenance, is that going to be kind of hit to give him a pretty incredible raise?
No. Okay. His line items and every one of the budget that he drew up and that we finally passed, every one of those line items are full, so it doesn't take away a dime from that. The cash, and there's also reserves, he mentioned reserves. We try to put budget in every county budget as much, the highest percentages that we can by law, okay? Put in there and leave into reserve, so that's in there too. Now, the cash I was talking about is over and above all that, okay? It's cash that actually come in. Dick mentioned, you know, it should be authorized to different projects, and it might, but right now, that money came in within the last 12 months, or maybe less than that, less than 12 months. So it's there until we do another budget But no, it does not. Your answer is, are we robbing Peter to pay Paul? No, we're not. Absolutely not. There's plenty of money to do what we, our goals are and accomplish our goals, no matter what the winter storm is, okay? And we do have a rainy day fund for God knows what, okay? And that actually is the payment in lieu of taxes money. So, so yeah, we're in good shape there. We wouldn't do that to you.
Well, we are in.
What's a good question?
Well, Rumsey Road is a good area to kind of have to think about.
I'll give you Paul's number.
Well, actually, we've tried to contact the roads department about a couple of things, but, we didn't get any kind of response. I think when it comes to the budget, I think that this is something that should be held off until an employee just coming in and asking that he wants a raise and it's the middle of the budget year. I think that's a precedence that you may not want to go there,
But that isn't what happened. We fully expected for the probationary period to run for a certain point of time. That was the agreement. At the end of that period of time, we agreed to him to take another look at his salary and all things, him being successful with his probation, all things being considered, we would absolutely take another look. That's how we hired him. So we all knew ahead of time that this probably was gonna happen if he completed his probation. Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that phone, I got a new phone, I don't know how to shut it off.
I understand.
Gail,
So, one comment on the sheriff's salary, there's a compensation board meets and recommends, and then the commission goes off that recommendation. I'm gonna clarify that.
So elected officials, basically, first, second, third class counties, their salaries are set initially. Their deputies are a certain percentage of that. We don't have anything to do that. But what we do have to do in this county, thank goodness, is we have a compensation board, which are made up of citizens that come in and say, and here's how we have to do that. We have to give the elected official a raise, so the deputies can get a raise. Does that make sense? Because they make their money statutorily as a percentage of the elected official. So,
And the elected officials are on the board too.
yeah, exactly. Yes. Are you gonna come up, please?
Not with the camera. Elena Gagliano. Let's have clarification, please. When was Mr. Alt hired? And is it a 6-month probationary period or a year?
Well, I think it was supposed to be a year, right now. And he was hired end of May. Yeah.
May 17th, 2017.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it was a year? Okay, my other question is, when is this information that you promised to go up on the website? When is it going to go up on the website and where on the website?
Mike, I think we can put, if it's 14,000, we could plus add the PERS and put it up, right?
Yeah, we can put it up under notices, under commissioners.
Okay. And you got any idea how long it'll take us to get that done? We can do it this week, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this week.
This week?
Yeah.
And the minutes for this, is this going to be up soon? Because we still don't have the minutes from November. So it'd be nice to have the minutes before you have the next meeting.
So we're approving minutes today, aren't we, Mike?
Yep.
I mean, for today's meeting.
These
That's what
minutes will be
happened.
approved next week, and then there's an expedited process in getting them posted on the
They should
website.
be
Yeah.
on the website
Yeah.
this week.
Tuesday and next week we'll approve the minutes.
Okay, and just for the record, I don't understand why you can't do that all the time.
Thank you.
Tuesday's Christmas.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna do it Tuesday, are we?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So
It'd be a nice gift, but I'm just
Be a week,
saying.
yeah.
That's the general
Yeah,
process.
that's normally the process, yeah. Yeah, good point.
So it'll be, you guys won't meet next
Tuesday
week?
no.
So it'll be the 2nd?
That's why I made the
The
motion,
second.
make sure that it
Right.
be into January longer, not right away, the first part of January. 'Cause there's lots of comments.
Well, I'm just talking about the minutes as
Oh,
well.
I'm thinking it's gonna be the 8th then, isn't
So you won't meet till the 8th?
Yeah,
it? Right.
have a special meeting on the 2nd. and a regular meeting on the-
Oh, special meeting on the 2nd, yeah, right. Okay, any other comments
Just a quick one. I think the commissioners should review their minutes from May 30th, 2017 and July 5th, 2017. Because it's not stating in there where you're going to revisit it after a 6-month probationary period. It might be something that you talked about, but it is not in the minutes.
That's possible, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So, with clarification, you said your hire date was 2017, not 18.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
so that's more than 6
It is.
months, and it's more than the year.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everybody was
And
busy, we
it's
talked
something
about it, we didn't get it on the
consider at
agenda.
budget time.
We didn't get it on the agenda to do it. Absolutely. Other comments?
Tim Allen, and I'm a resident of Flint Creek Courier. So I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. So when you guys eventually go to make this decision, you could take Mr. Alt's recommendation and say you're going to give him the 14, and you could do that in any number of ways. In other words, you could say we're going to give it to you half this year, half next year, we're going to give it to you all next year, we're not going to wait until the next budget. You could do all of those things, is that correct?
Yes.
You also could say, we don't think 14 is fair, we can give you 7.
Right.
So you have all those options available to you. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You know, Commissioner Hinkle's gonna be commissioner then, he could say we should give him 20.
Okay.
It's up to him.
And just one other question, and this may be more of a question for Blaine, really, as to the legality of it, but the evaluation, we clearly can't see the evaluation itself, but can we see the standard of which the evaluation was
Yes.
based upon? Is that something
I
you're
just
going to
handed it out, or a job description.
There's a performance evaluation in the personnel manual. I could
Yeah.
share a
that's
copy
what
of
I'm
the
looking for, is not
performance
necessarily,
evaluation.
is
Like a blank one?
well, just typically, from my experience, that you get a job evaluation every year and you have, this is your goal for this year, is to improve X percentage of the roads, or to do ABC. Those kinds of, we clearly can't see the responses to that, because that becomes a privacy matter. But is it possible to see those goals, is what I'm looking at.
Well, there'll be an evaluation in the personnel, well, that's what we give you right now. We'll give you that.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, any other comments? We got other business unless
Thank you.
anybody, well, I don't want, if everybody come up here, I want them to be able to speak. Okay? All right.
Thanks.
Well, thanks much for everybody. Appreciate your
Are
comments.
you gonna vote on a motion?
Yeah, we are. Yeah. Okay. So there is a motion on the floor. And everybody understand the motion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay. So, this is the time set for Georgetown Lake